I dedicate this video to my brother Quasi 100. He starts a lot of his videos off, him and David Carroll, like this. And so this is just a fun way to start this video, y'all. Forgive me. Quasi, I love you, brother. I love you, David. And happy Saturday. This is the day before the Super Bowl. And my son, yesterday was my birthday. My son, knowing that I'm a Patriots fan, and it's a little disappointed. Tom and his boys, my boys couldn't get it done, but you know what? They hung in there a lot longer than the Cowboys. Cowboys, ooh, get bad taste in my mouth. But yesterday, my son got me my hat. I got a Patriots t-shirt. He basically told me, "Happy birthday, Dad." And believe it or not, my wife's birthday, I got another shit. I should have put it on. Forget me for this, but he gave this to me. And Tom, don't you retire, man. You got at least 2 more Super Bowls in you. Unless that cat from Seattle don't keep you barring you from that thing, you know. Or maybe that cat from Carolina, Mr. Newton. Cam is a bad man, so I don't know. Might have to change my affiliation, but you know, right now, even though he's down, Tom, he's still my boy. I ain't going out. I ain't gonna punk out on you, even though I think these brothers, these new black quarterbacks are looking pretty dynamic, man. But you gonna be all right. We all gonna be all right. So anyway, I've been getting a lot of comments and interactions with people, and they want to call me crazy for believing that Bible. And that video that I made where I'm basically telling the student, you better thank God and all of this, where is, amino acids, God doesn't tell us nothing about all these things. Well, the thing is, you assuming that God, meant for y'all to really want to know about all these things. You know what? I think if the story is true, and it is, so I'm like, hypothetically, I'm gonna jump out of the reality of truth to deal with your foolish speculations about how things are and why they have to be, to say this. You want to say that the Bible doesn't give us any real information, he says that man was formed from the dust of the ground. Well, you know what? We see that, these amino acids are made up of elements and matter from the earth. So, the Bible got that right. So, the Hindu religion, they have this philosophy that, the earth is sitting on an elephant, the elephant's sitting on something. Some things you just kind of know. False religion, idol. But the long and short of it, I would just say, for you to say that the Bible got it wrong means that you really know the purpose for your existence. If I bake a cake, the only way you're gonna know what that cake is for is you gotta ask the creator. So you are speculating that this story is not written by the creator, and therefore, your speculations about what really happened are just stupid. They're stupid. When you go to college and you sit there and you're paying good money to learn something, man. These people at the end of the week are getting paid big money to teach you. And you know what? I decided to look up the word education. So I just Googled this. And the thing is, I'm going to show you kind of what's going on in our educational system. Now, Google is a good resource because Google will hook you up with some good dictionaries. But listen to the modern day definition of education. To give intellectual, moral, and social instruction to. So this is the modern day definition. These teachers are giving, but are they really giving? Are they really teaching? Are they educating? But I'm going to sit here and say, you know what? Let me go back to the root. Where did this word educate come from? And according to another etymological dictionary, been hanging out with my homies a little too long. We've been beating up this English language. I got to get back to my nerd talk. I'm gonna get back to my nerdy talk. You know, brothers talk nerdy. At least that's what they say. You know, you talk like a white boy. Yeah. When I get around white people that have money and can do something for me other than just, you know, slap five and call me homeboy, a dog, and all of this. Yeah, I got to clean up my language, because you know what? It gets serious. They say, you know, we don't want that foolish vernacular talk here. You're going to speak the king's language, and you're going to speak intelligently, because we don't have a dictionary for my bad and dog and all this, you know. They start looking around, you know, we don't allow dogs in the building. Where's your dog? Because get him out of here. You're a man when you go into buildings to conduct real business. So educate, the word educare, it's Latin, and that means to bring up or to draw forth. So back in the day, the understanding, and maybe this is a myth, you know, I don't think so. You know, they understood, you know, and why did we all of a sudden think that instead of drawing forth, you know, God, you know, when you get educated, true education draws forth your ability to understand and to communicate and to truly receive from other people true knowledge. We've been kind of getting spoon-fed garbage. We've been getting spoon-fed garbage, and most of the garbage is because, you know, we have been taught and trained to submit to authority without really understanding, you know, what real authority is. Like, for example, a lot of people are looking for the government to save them and to provide them services, when here it was, you know, we read and go to the you know, Schoolhouse Rock talks about we the people in order for a more perfect, you know, so we're establishing government, but here it is, the government has become our master. How is this so? How is it that we're supposed to be running the show, but we're going to the government, we're going to FEMA, help us FEMA, you know, why we do this? It's just, you know, we've been miseducated, and the people who really know the truth, they want you to remain ignorant. And so I'm at the point where I'm basically saying, man, screw all that. It's time to think. So I'm imagining for the student that really wants to get his money's worth, as soon as these scientists start talking this foolishness, because you're going to be able to get your study on. You ain't got to just hang out at the university, but I think that would be the best place to get access to these books and resources that will open your mind up to the truth. And so people are basically telling me, you know, hey, you know, this book, God, if you say God did it, why didn't God, you know, kind of break things down, you know, showing us how the amino acids came together and how he kept and maintained all these things long enough. You know, he's making light and the sun. He done created these plants, and the plants, you know, they can't live for too long without sunlight, but here it was, it took, you know, 3 days for them to get around to making the sun and all that. I mean, just stupid speculations. But my thing is, if you call yourself being true to the game of science, you would kind of try to look, you know, make a plant grow and then stick him in the closet for 2 days or 3 days. See how long it'll take for that plant to die before it, you know, in that darkness, you know, just see. You'd be surprised. A lot of things that you assume are stupid and foolish turn out to be possible. Now, with that being said, this one guy is telling me that, you know, this story that we're reading in the Bible is just totally wrong. And I'm saying, okay, it's totally wrong. On what basis? Because I'll ask you, you know, what do you know? How do you know? You come from a foundation of ignorance to say that this is wrong. Well, we know, you know, because of the, you know, I know that I can't fit the Amazon River in my pocket, but these scientists are saying, man, we can fit the whole universe in the size of a period. And then, you know, you Google star formation, and then you get all of this stupid theoretical mumbo jumbo. And the funny thing is, you go to the PhD department, go to the astronomy department, or the astrophysics department. That's where you need to go. Go to the university astrophysics department and ask them, you know, based on the gas laws, can we form stars? Based on the gas laws. It's based on our theoretical understanding of how gases act on this earth. And these laws, we are assuming, are universal. They go throughout the universe. That's why they call them laws and they call them universal. You know, how do you get a gas that has the ability to distribute itself in a space? You know, because the gas laws make star formation impossible because gas expands. You know, you fart. I mean, to me, this is like the funniest example, but the one you can remember. When you fart, you know, you're in an elevator. That gas is going to come out and distribute itself out. And everybody's racing to get to the next floor so they can get out of that confined space, right? Because the gas coming out of your rectum or coming out of your booty hole, and I know this is kind of a vulgar example, but it's to me one everybody can relate to. I'm pretty sure most people have smelled a fart. They've smelled their own farts. They expand away. They're trying to get away from the expanding, funky smell of that gas. But you know what? In order for me to get that gas to go back and compress back where it came from, if I wanted to do that, I'd have to use compressive force. And compressive force, you have to overcome the expansive force. And the compressive force has to be over 60 times greater. It has to be over 60 times greater than the force that is causing it to expand. So if I've got this gas and it's pushing out, the force that I have to overcome is 60 times, I have to overcome this force that's 60 times greater than that force that's making these gases want to distribute themselves. So here it is, we have this Big Bang cosmology where here it is, we don't know how to compress gases. We don't know how to make stars, you know, but you Google that. That's going to be some foolishness you're going to read about, you know, because I Googled it. I'm like, listen here, I'm looking at this thing and, you know, this one guy, he put down this graph, this drawing and actually talked about it. Let me see what he said. And I'm going to give it to you. Well, I can't see it right now, but no, I can't. Let me see. I did. It's on here. Yeah, there it is. Star formation. And this guy is Schneider and Arne, Unit 60. And so he's trying to sound intelligent. This is the thing. People are going to hide their ignorance in real highfalutin language. And he says, stars form inside relatively dense concentrations of interstellar gas and dust known as molecular clouds. These regions are extremely cold, just about above, temperatures about 10 to 20 Kelvin, just about absolute zero. At these temperatures, gases become molecular, meaning that atoms bind together. So I can freeze a gas, but if I freeze a gas in outer space, what is going to draw these molecules together? Is it gravity? Where's the gravitational pull? And if you have gravity, what is the strength of gravity in relationship to those molecules clumping together? See, he said at these temperatures, gases become molecular, meaning atoms bind together. CO, which is carbon monoxide, and H2, which is hydrogen, are the most common molecules in interstellar gas clouds. The deep cold also causes the gas to clump to high densities. Is that true? This is theoretical. And the theoretical, what he's talking about is a violation of the gas laws that we have come to establish. And we know these things to be true. But, you know, if you Google this foolishness and pick this up without really being grounded in true knowledge, you can be thrown off track. So getting back to this Genesis story. The whole purpose of the Genesis story is to show you that the real purpose to existence, the real purpose to making all this stuff is for God to have a relationship with man. That's the bottom line. The whole purpose, you want to sit here and get in the lab and do all these wonderful things with God's property. You know what? He's basically said the first rule to the game, the first rule to the game is to love God and worship him with all your soul, strength, mind, because the thing is, God's talking to man once he made him, and he told him, I want you to do this, and this is what I've commanded you to do. So whatever God says, that's the law. So we see at the very beginning. Let's get back to it. Genesis chapter 1. So he basically created the heavens and earth, and then he lays this breakdown of everything going. And then he says in verse 26. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So our purpose wasn't necessarily to dissect and figure out all these things, because you know what? We're going to have so much fun doing other things. We ain't got time to figure out the cure for cancer, because if we do what we're supposed to do, cancer is not going to come into the created order. These are the things you guys are assuming, and basically that's why your assumption is false, because you're looking at the wrecked world. This world that we live in is a wrecked world based on what God has said and based on history. And you want to sit here and interpret things differently, that's on you, but you're off track from the beginning. Well, where's the dinosaurs? They were there. Dinosaurs just a lizard, big lizard. And you can imagine some of these lizards, if they grow, they said that a lizard technically is always growing his entire life. He never stops growing. They got these big kimono dragons, over there somewhere in Asia. I can't remember where they're at, but they grow. Now, let's just say that this world is not wrecked, or wasn't wrecked, and the world was different, because they even got amber. They did amber studies of air bubbles trapped in amber. And these amber bubbles have a concentration of oxygen that's twice the oxygen content that we experience today. So the world in the past has given us evidence that things were not uniformly the same, which is that assumption, this necessary assumption for scientists to do what they do. Necessary. They need it. And the reason why they need it is because they need it in order to exclude God out of the game. So when you go to class and the teacher starts talking, well, we're speculating and all of this, and we think it's like it went down like this. And so you just raise your hand and just say, teacher. So in other words, you're saying you don't know, right? And they're might pause for a second. Well, we have an idea. Hey, can I ask you again? You don't know, right? They don't know. But they're going to hide their ignorance in all of these speculations. And the whole thing is, man has a good imagination. We can imagine, man becoming, coming from the slime of algae and all this stuff, and monkeys. So we got to be careful. You get thrown off track, you lose the whole game. And the whole thing is, if God created it and he says that, our disobedience is what wrecked it and what made us subject to death and destruction, then obviously, I can scientifically prove that the Bible is true based on the history of man. Everybody's dropping dead. They're either being killed, they're either dying of disease, old age, but ain't nobody staying around to say, no, you're wrong. So long story short, that's my scientific proof that God exists. Because God has established this world in such a way that he tells me this is how it was, this is how it is, and this is how you're going to be able to get out of this. And you know what? My life really has meaning, and I do see my marriage being saved. I see my children growing in knowledge. And you know what? I can get in that lab just like the ignorant atheistic scientists and perform the same things and get true knowledge and insight. And ultimately, when it's all time to drop dead and go back to my master, he'll say, hey, how you doing, Gerald? I say, how you doing, master? I really enjoyed that body that you gave me. I enjoyed all these physical things. I enjoyed even the people that you created in your image to interact with. And you know what? Some of these people did a lot of terrible things, but you know what? I ain't got time to worry about them, because I did a whole bunch of things too. For that, you've given me one way out. Just like there was one way into that Noah's Ark story, that mythological story of Noah's Ark, that door got shut. And there were only 8 people that survived the cataclysmic judgment of God because they were so busy doing everything but what God told them to do. They were eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage. And there ain't nothing wrong with getting married. But the whole thing is they were doing all these things and they didn't want to say, God, thank you for this woman. You know, they're thanking themselves because, you know, they think they found their soulmate. Oh, I found my soulmate. No, you were just horny. And then after you got your fill and found out this person wasn't really all that you imagined it to be, or maybe a younger, prettier woman came in the game, or a handsome, you know, I mean, I don't know. It all depends on what your lustful eyes want to see. Drew you away from doing what you're supposed to do. But the long and the short of it is, I'm going to basically say the scientist that guesses about these things, he's doing what they call a fallacious argument from ignorance. That's it. You know, you can make it sound as intelligent as you want, but if you don't know your starting point, you've lost your square. And that's what I prove when I actually argue with these people. I've argued with university professors. And they want to sit here and tell me, well, you can't tell me nothing. You know, I got a PhD and I studied. I'm like, you know what? If you have to resort to your credentials to beat me down or to try to dismiss me, man, you are really weak. Because you know what? Only thing I'm coming in is with the truth. You can't fight that. And that's what another thing God says. And I think in another video, I quoted this passage where Jesus says, hey, you know, I'm going to give you words full of such wisdom that your opponent can't stand. He's not going to have anything to bring against you, to oppose you, because all of the treasures of knowledge and wisdom are in Christ. So Christ is basically saying, they don't have the words because I didn't give them to them, but I'm going to give them to you. And when they hear them, they're going to be like, they're going to be mad because they can't oppose it. And that's the whole point of me making these videos. I'm trying to get y'all to think. You know, I have a hold of this truth and I'm not letting go. Y'all might come in, you know, try to threaten to kill me or do something, you know, or bring in some beautiful woman to say, man, you know, Gerald, you really don't believe that Bible. Go on and get with this girl because she likes you because she's so intelligent and smart. See, you know, here it is. Pride, you know, I get so proud. No, God, I'm not proud, you know, and that's the reason why I really don't want to get a degree. Because I feel like if I get a degree and I walk down the aisle, I might be so dynamite, you know, at that university. They want to give me a gold tassel and things. I remember in high school, some of the more accomplished students, they got to wear the gold tassel where, you know, the average Joe in our school wore a little purple because our colors were purple and white. So, you know, so they stood out when they came to get, you know, to walk up to the podium and get their high school diploma. You know, I'm wearing my little purple thing. I got my little purple tassel, you know. I was just glad I'm getting out of there, you know, because I'm going to UCLA. I'm going to be a Bruin, you know, and, you know, didn't even stay there long enough to get my degree. They left there to become a fireman. So I just want people to think. And, you know, you can sit here and come in and, you know, start peeing on the ground with your degrees and all of this. My thing is, as soon as you say it, I'm gonna call you, and I'm like, hey, man, why you gotta brag about what you accomplished at school? Let's see what that degree really adds up to in terms of your thinking about these things. Because I'm telling you, these scientists are fools. They're gonna sit here and tell you that they don't know how to make a star, but they can compress everything in this world into a singularity. That's what they call it. You know, and that's just a magical term for I don't know. That we can compress everything down into this point smaller than the period at the end of a sentence on your computer screen. A dot, a little tiny dot. But here it is, you can't even compress water down. You know, they say it's non-compressible. You can compress water, but you can't really compress it, you know. I mean, it takes serious compressive force. And here it is, we got these different size stars, you know, the star that's supplying light to this Earth is what they call a main sequence white dwarf. So they got these other stars that are even bigger than that. And here it is. And our planet is like just, I mean, it would take like 300 planets or something like that to fit in the full diameter of the star that is giving us light. But our star is just kind of a small one compared to some of these other ones that exist throughout the universe. But you're telling me all of this stuff got compressed down. But then you're going to sit there and say, well, it has to be billions of years old, because here we got, because I'm imagining this. I sit down sometimes, I just think and imagine what these people are actually saying. And when I say to myself, okay, now we got this universe that got compressed, or that was compressed to the singularity, and boom, everything expanded out. I say to myself, that's pretty serious. I mean, but here it is. What's wrong with God just saying, I established this stuff to exist? Boom. Because, we see this expansion, and we're close to the center of it. That's what they're starting to discover when they're doing this microwave background radiation study, the Kobe satellites and all this stuff. And they call some of the discoveries like the axis of evil. Why are they calling this axis of evil? Because you know what? The funny thing is, all of these studies are starting to show, what the Bible was saying as far as this planet being in a special place in the universe. Special place in the universe. It's making them scratch their head. We're going to have to rethink these things. Yeah, you're going to have to rethink them and go back to that Bible. Because basically everything, God says the heavens declare the glory of God. So there's going to be a lot of stuff y'all going to look at, and you're going to be scratching your head because you didn't want to acknowledge God at the start. And that's why you call it the axis of evil. Why not call it the questionable axis? But they call it the axis of evil. Their minds are acknowledging the sinful, wicked direction they've gone in. You look that up. Go look up the axis of evil, astronomical axis of evil. And you're going to hear a whole bunch of sophisticated contemplations, but they're acknowledging in a very tacit way that this world was created by God. And so too, with all of us, when tragic things happen, oh my God, why do you say that? Why do people, in fact, how did that whole, vernacular reaction, how did all that happen? Why not, oh Buddha, oh Allah, wow, it's oh my God, and Jesus, why do we do that? You might say it's a cultural convention, but I say it might be more than that. So, if you want to be true to the game of the scientific enterprise, those are some good PhD studies to undertake. You want to assume some things, start assuming God first and see what happens to your scientific exploration. To include God in this thing is going to blow the thing up. No, to include God is going to get you back to where you need to be in order to make some real well-founded conclusions. Because ultimately, in order for us to, like when I was growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of money, and my dad was buying wrecked cars and he was fixing them up. So he gave me a nice car, and I'm trying to upgrade the stereo system. Upgrade. So in order to do that, I had to tear out that old 8-track that was in the dash of the car, and I had to go to the store and buy something that was designed and purposed to deal with, cassette tapes. Because that was the thing back in the day. When I was growing up, cassette tapes was the game. So I upgraded it in there. And I went to the auto show earlier in December last year in LA. And all of these manufacturers are showing Bluetooth. You got wireless internet activities and all these new cars. But you know what? I look at that as kind of an evolution of the automobile. But you know what? You know how much intellectual energy it took to get the automobile to the state it is now with all these custom features? It took a whole lot. So too, we see now, just in our own experience, that automobile experience is really a demonstration that in order for any system to increase in its complexity, engineering, information, design has to take place. So with that being said, use that as your key to examining these things, and I guarantee you, you'll be able to think clearly, and be blessed. I know this was kind of a hodgepodge of a thing, but I think sometimes hodgepodge helps you get your mind organized. Peace, and go Cam Newton!